Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farm, and today we're going to cover everything that you need to know about loading and hauling equipment in a dump trailer. Now, I primarily use a dump trailer to haul material, and I have an equipment trailer for moving equipment. But there are situations where it saves so much time to haul your equipment in your dump trailer that I go ahead and do it. Now, it's a little more challenging to safely load into a higher trailer like this with a different weight distribution. So the first thing I want to talk about is the safety concerns and the things you need to do before you load your equipment. And then we're going to load each of these three machines into and then obviously back out of my dump trailer and talk about how to center your machine for weight distribution and just all the things that I think you need to be factoring in, especially if you're new to hauling this type of equipment in this type of trailer. So first, let's cover the types of equipment we're loading. This is a large frame compact tractor. It weighs around 5,000 pounds, but I've got fluid in the tires and a few extra things, so I'm gonna say maybe around 6,000 pounds. It is, to me, the easiest or the least dangerous piece of equipment to load out of what I have here today because it's more stable and more balanced for driving up onto this platform. The tractor is a TYM 574. Next, we've got this Baumolite mini skid steer. It's a TRL 620D. This thing weighs 3,000 pounds, maybe a little bit over that. And it's got the very short wheelbase and a little bit sketchier feel to it. The tracks are more narrow and it's a little harder to steer up these types of ramps. The next thing we've got is this Chinese mini skid steer. This is a 3 or a 3.5 ton machine. It weighs between 7,000 and 8,000 pounds. I don't remember exactly, and I have not put it on a scale. Now, all of this equipment is being loaded into my new 7x16 dump trailer. This trailer has two 7,000 pound axles and a GVWR of 15,400 pounds. That means that with a trailer weight of 4,000 pounds, I can put a little over 11,000 pounds in the bed maximum. And none of these machines are pushing that limit. So as long as we center our weight, we'll be just fine. The trailer is made by Liberty Trailers. I could not love this trailer any more than I do. American made, commercial grade. I've owned a bunch of different dump trailers over the years, and this one from Liberty Trailers is the nicest trailer I've ever had the privilege to own. Every time I load a piece of equipment, I check this gauge to see how my weight distribution is. Now, I think my dump trailer just isn't registering any weight, and as soon as I load a machine, we'll see that register. But we know that we want 10% of the weight of our load from the trailer to ride on the truck. So at 14,000 pounds, you'd like to see 1,400 pounds on this gauge. Now, we'll find out if my gauge has failed. This is kind of an old hitch. I've had it for several years, and these gauges are eventually a replacement item. But we'll find out in a minute if this gauge is working or if I need to make that repair on it. So the first step to loading these machines has nothing to do with the machines. The first step is preventing the truck and trailer from moving. Now, we've all seen the clips on the internet of someone driving a truck or a piece of equipment up onto a trailer, and the trailer lowers down in the back, lifts the front of the truck up in the air, and the whole rig starts moving. And there are a few things we can do to make sure that doesn't happen to us. Now, my truck is a 3/4 ton truck. It's pretty heavy. And on an equipment trailer, I can drive a piece of this equipment up onto the trailer and it won't lift the truck off the ground. So you could say you don't have to do any of these steps, but I do it every time anyway, because why take the risk? And even if the equipment does not lift the back of the truck off the ground, you're putting a tremendous amount of strain on your tow ball and on your receiver and the whole system. So I don't see any reason to put that strain on the system. So I go through these steps regardless. So the first thing I'm trying to do is lock the machine down where it can't move. So there's a few ways you can do that. So the first thing I do is I put the truck in 4-wheel drive and I engage the parking brake. So what that means is that even if the truck does try to lift, you'll have some brake on the front. Next thing I do is chalk the wheels on the trailer itself. Now you know that this rig is not going to move on you, but you can still have a dangerous situation. And I had a video where I was loading a full-size skid steer in a dump trailer a couple years ago, and that trailer lifted way up in the air and slammed down. It was a very scary situation. And I learned from that never to allow a situation like that again. So after you've secured it where the truck and trailer can't move, you want to secure it, your rig, where the back of the trailer cannot drop down. Now, all of this sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It's just automatic and instinct for me. When I know I'm getting ready to load, put on the parking brake, put it in four-wheel drive, put something in front of the wheels, and drop my drop legs on the back of the trailer. Now, some trailers don't have those drop legs, and in those cases, I'll take jack stands and put under the back of the trailer, but mine has that system built into it. So with these built-in drop legs, I think this is an ideal setup. Now, the mistake I made the first few times I did this was to drop this leg all the way down and then pin it. And then what happens is your trailer, when it has that heavy equipment in it, it needs to squat and it can't. And now your drop leg is jammed into the ground so hard that you can't move. So you'll learn over time how much gap to leave, but I'm gonna leave like 3 or 4 inches here that this can drop down. This is my first time loading with this trailer. And I'll learn from this experience, you know, how much gap to leave under this foot. And I don't actually have to move the trailer after loading. Oh, now we're gonna go ahead and open up the back gate and get our ramps in place. So I actually didn't know if that was going to fit. The last time I had a 16-foot dump trailer, I did not have this tractor, and this is obviously a longer tractor, but it's gonna fit in there comfortably. Whenever I was driving up on the ramps, my drop legs touched, and now they're not touching. So that worked exactly right. That 3 to 4 inches is a good amount for this setup. Now, in my mind, the target would be to have this axle centered about a foot further forward. So this tractor's almost too big to go in here because I've only got, well, I'm right at the edge. I can't bring this forward any further. Now, if I had a scissor lift dump trailer, which they offer this in a scissor lift, then I could set the bucket on this and gain a little bit of room. As it is, I don't have that option. Now, I could come forward a little bit more if I wasn't taking the bucket or if I put the bucket in a different way. The other option, you can use your weigh safe hitch to weigh and find out right now, would my weight distribution be better or worse if I turn the tractor around? If I turn the tractor around, my weight distribution seems like it'd be too far forward. The way it is, it seems like it's too far back. I would say the tractor is the machine I'm least likely to take with me in the dump trailer, much more likely to take the mini skid or the mini excavator in the dump trailer. Now, Liberty built this system in right here, so if you're taking pallet forks with you, you can stage your pallet forks in here, strap them down to the trailer, and save that space and have more space in the trailer for your equipment. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do 100% of what I want to do here. I would like to use this gauge to measure the tongue weight that I'm applying, and I can't because this gauge needs to be rebuilt. I have the weigh safe gauges for the gooseneck and for the bumper pull. I've already rebuilt the one for the gooseneck, and it's been working well for a long time. But this one looks like it's due for a rebuild now. So I need to get that gauge replaced, and before I did a long haul at highway speeds on this, I would want to get an accurate weight of the amount of tongue weight I have. If you do not have enough tongue weight, your trailer will go crazy on you. It's very dangerous. If you have too much tongue weight, it overloads your truck, puts a lot of strain on the suspension, and can cause your premature failure on the truck. So it's important to have that weight distribution. And I think this might be okay, but I can't say for sure without a working gauge. Another way that this can be done is by measuring how much your springs sag. Before, people had these gauges, but I have air ride suspension and it kind of adjusts, and I don't get hardly any sag. My truck does not tilt like that even when I overload the trailer. So the next two machines are going to feel a lot sketchier loading them, partially because you feel more exposed standing on this machine as opposed to being seated in a cab. So on a wheel machine, one set of wheels rolls over the breakover on the trailer, and then the other set. On a track machine, this is what I'm calling the breakover. And as you come up to this point, your tracks will come up in the air like this, and then you hit a tipping point, and then the machine kind of slams down. And that tipping point is where it feels scary, and right before it tips over the breakover, that's when it feels like you could lose the machine. Now, one way you can reduce this breakover point is to actually raise the deck of the trailer a little bit. And that's what we're going to do now. So basically, we're going to soften the angle of that breakover. So as you can see, there's not so much of a breakover now. It's almost the same angle all the way up. Now with this machine, if you go up it forward and it does tip, it's going to tip back and land on you and crush you. So with these, you want to back it on, especially with that machine, and you'll save yourself that risk of it rolling back on you. Now, it always feels a little bit sketchy, but that's as safe as I've ever felt driving one of those types of small machines onto such a high trailer. That really was smooth. Those ramps are nice. Putting a little angle on the trailer helps a lot. And I did not feel unsafe at any point. Now, the worst machine is the mini excavator, and I want to tell you why. And part of it is because I can't get an answer on the best way to do this. I've got several videos about unloading and loading excavators onto trailers. And every time I do it, I ask people that I think would be experts or have a lot of experience with it, which way they prefer to do it. Do you like to drive on going forward or backward? And I get different answers every time I ask. And some people feel very strongly about there's only one right way to do it. And then someone else feels equally strongly that it's the other way you should be doing it. And what I'm talking about here is where you put your boom. So if you drive on with your boom in front of you, the boom is a counterbalance. And if you stick it way out there, as far out as it can go and down low, that's a huge counterbalance. And the odds that you tip over backward with that counterbalance in front of you are very low. That's a lot of counterbalance. But if you did tip over with your boom out there, you're just out of luck. You're going to roll over upside down and it's going to be a very bad day. The other option is you pull onto the trailer with the boom behind you, and as you pull on, the machine might tip over. It's actually fairly likely it'll tip backward, but you have an arm back there. You can catch yourself and push yourself up. So some guys like to walk their way up with the arm. Honestly, I prefer trusting that the counterbalance will do what it's supposed to do, and that's what we're going to try right now. Now, my plan here is that because there's a disagreement on the best way to do this, I'm going to do it both ways and show that both ways work. And then I want to hear from you guys in the comments who've loaded 1,000 times like this, which of the two methods you think is better for an excavator. Boom in front of you or boom behind you. So as I did that, I really did a poor job as I had the boom in front of me because I forgot about the cylinder there and that I needed to be offset. And I'm not used to this controls and going backward up that hill. For a minute, I hit the controls the wrong way and kind of made a fool of myself, but I got it on there, got it off. I feel safe taking any of this equipment to a job. I need to fix the weigh safe gauge so that it's a little bit smoother on and off. But beyond that, I feel comfortable knowing that I can haul any of my current equipment in this trailer, and obviously I still have the equipment trailer. So if you're hauling equipment in a dump trailer, be safe out there. Let me know what you think about all of the tips I gave in this video. I appreciate you taking time to watch. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.